Okay, in 2022, finance will be focusing on a number of things, but four pretty large, all-encompassing things. Everything we do will fall under the arc of the Strategic Innovation Plan and certainly has to be influenced by and contribute to that. In the next several weeks, we need to dissolve a handful of Central Parkway tax credit related entities. That'll consume our time to the end of January. In the second quarter, we hope to be able to resolve the PPP loan and ERTC matters. And every month from now until the end of the time, we're going to have to spend time on financial statements and analysis. So there are three particularly key elements of the strategic plan that are going to intersect with finance. So one major pillar is to secure healthy finances. And that entails getting back to a $2 million surplus by the end of the strategic plan period in 2024. We're going to have to steer some guidance towards acceptable key performance indicators. We may have to coordinate some necessary pivots or changes in directions or corrective action to what we're doing in 2021 and what we're planning to do so far in 2022. Another key element is modern facilities. We're going to have to identify a new location for our next family YMCA branch. Not just any location, not just any branch. It's going to have to be one that operates at a surplus to offset some of the other things that we do. We're going to have to manage about $3 million of capital expenditures in 2022, including the acquisition of the Music Resource Center. We will no doubt be involved in expanding membership and program. We're going to have to figure out and help membership folks deliver 90% of who we used to be in 2019, certainly by the end of 2024. And we're going to have to help the operation folks make sure that all programs are compliant with the 80-20 guidelines or in some way be re-engineered. This eye chart is intended to be complicated. I did it and don't quite understand it. But what has to happen is this. I'm going to pause because I don't like what I did there just yet. Okay. So this next eye chart is complicated enough, but here's the background. In 2015, the Y partnered with 3CDC, Model Group, Messer Construction, U.S. Bank, and a half a dozen other companies to pull off the most complicated, impactful transaction in the history of the YMCA of Greater Cincinnati, and that was the tax credit related renovation of this building that we're sitting in here at Central Parkway. But now it's time to wind down these multiple subsidiaries that we formed because we've reached the end of the tax recapture period. It has to be done by the end of January 2022. It's already started. It's going to eat up some of my time between now and then. I mentioned the PPP loan and employee retention tax credits. The PPP was a $4 million loan, and the Y has applied for forgiveness. We've not yet heard back. We've been delayed by the SBA, who has us in a status of potential denial of all or part of that $4.3 million of cash that we've already received. We'll probably get some additional requests for information from the SBA. The clearly successful resolution of the PPP matter would go a long way toward offsetting the projected deficit for 2021. Similarly, the employee retention tax credit, based on its size of $7 million of refunds that we've already applied for, if we can successfully resolve in mid-2022, that $7 million will more than wipe out the budgeted deficit for that year. The issue is we're going to have to comply with the SBA and the IRS, and we're going to have to continue to provide some information. But if we get that money, our task will be to make sure that we spend it wisely and generate adequate return on investment. But it could certainly prove transformational in connection with our ongoing recovery from the pandemic and our return to financial health. And on a more mundane basis, every month we spend the first 2 weeks of the following month closing the books. We spend a lot of time reconciling our ERP in order to make sure that the financials that we share with staff and volunteers and lenders are both accurate and reliable. We have to do a lot of analysis of membership and financial development and staffing and other costs, and it takes forever. So I mention it here just because it's going to consume our time like it has every month for the last 100 years, and like it will every month for the next 100. We have to manage sometime in the second quarter 3 audits and 9 or 10 tax returns. Our own audit and own tax return absolutely consumes the second quarter for multiple individuals. Given the situation that we're in, forecasting and budgeting is going to be more important than ever in the past. We start reforecasting in the second quarter. We start budgeting in the third quarter, and it seems like a never-ending task. But as we make our way to the other side of the pandemic, that particular task is probably more important than it's ever been. So with respect to what type of assistance or help I might need or the finance department might need in the upcoming months, nobody gets through this on their own. And we help and need help from about 2,000 fellow YMCA employees, even though, like Liam Neeson in Taken, we do have a unique set of skills. And the assistance that we need to get through this is not substantial.